Okay guys, what we have here is the Banana Hobby Blitz RC Works 1100mm P40. It runs on 3S or 4S. As you can tell, I already have one here on the side. This is a brand new one in a box with a different paint scheme. And I'm going to go ahead and open it up so you can get to see what you get out of it. So first things first, the first thing that comes out is the wing. You can see everything is pre-wired. You have your retracts, your flaps, and your ailerons. The servos are there. This is the almost ready to fly, so it's got the servos in there. You just have to connect the linkages. It's got the retracts. It's got the folding retractable retracts on there. All the wires are connected for you already. So you got a nice bomb drop in the middle, right here. You got your 2 cables for the ailerons, 2 cables for the flaps, and the one for the gear, for the landing gear. So if we put that aside here, got your nice little spinner, all your push rod linkages and hardware, your 3-bladed props, or your 3 props right there. Some of the scale detail, the cowling that goes underneath the wing, and I guess this is in case you don't got the right connectors on your battery. They give you the connectors for it. We have elevators. Has a big interlocking piece that'll connect to the other elevator. Got the push rod already installed and a slot for the spar. Here is the other elevator. And here's the other interlocking part for the elevator where it connects to the other side. So basically, once it's installed, it'll join up in here. Like so, and then both of the elevators will work in conjunction with just the one push right there. We have the fuselage. There's a Lulu Bell paint scheme. Decals already applied for you. The original ones had single plastic decals, and I couldn't get them to stick right, so the factory decided to install all the decals for you. There you go. The motor's already installed there for you. You got the hatch, battery hatch, speed controller down there. And then you could just go ahead and start putting it together. Let me see if we have the bomb for the bomb drop. And we have the spar for the elevator. So for the bomb, it just fits in there, in the bottom there, like so. And then it's magnetic, but the magnet would release and then just drop it via remote control, one of your radio channels. Let me get rid of the box, and then I'll go ahead and show you guys some of the assembly. Okay guys, I'm gonna go ahead and put the elevators on. What I did in the meantime is I did scrape some of the paint off where the actual elevators are going to get glued on into the fuselage. And you don't have to do this, it's just, I'm used to it. It's one of my things I do, so I'll go ahead and do it. What you're going to do first is you're going to have to put the spar into one of the 2 sides, whichever side you choose, and then glue it onto the fuselage, the elevator half. The other half will basically interlock again. This part and this part will interlock. And also the spar. When you're done with them, they should be butt up against each other like this inside the airplane. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. The spar really doesn't need any CA, but you know what? What the heck, I'll put a little drop in there real quick and put it on one of the sides. And then what I'll do, you know what? I didn't even take off some of the paint on the inside here. So what I'll do, I'll just basically, I get the X-Acto knife and just scrape scrape some of the paint off. And that's just promoting a better glue joint. You don't have to do this. You can see more or less that I didn't take out too much. I'll go ahead and do the same thing for the other side. And just get if you can see that, I just took some of the paint off so it'll promote better glue adhesion. I'll go ahead and do some on the top. And there we go. So now, I'll go ahead and put some of the CA on the part, on the elevator. You don't have to go crazy. This is foam safe CA. So depending on what you got that you're building it with, you have to make sure it's not going to damage the parts. Again, this is foam safe CA. I prefer this one so I can be done quickly. So I'm going to go ahead and put half of the elevator in. And then I'll come back around and put some CA on the second half. And this time I'm also going to put CA in the middle, which I didn't do on the other one. Just basically put some CA on there. If you want to go overkill, you can put a little bit in the gap joint there. Join up the spars, close it up, match up the two connecting parts on the back and the rear end, and then just wait for your CA to dry. Now, you can see my elevators in there. It's going to take probably 5 minutes to dry. I didn't get any kicker with me right now, so I'm just going to leave that alone. We'll move on to the wing. Now I'm going to show you something on the wing real quick while this dries. And again, I'm just going to make sure that it's nice and tight in there. Just go ahead and test all the other functions while I have it out here in the table. So I'm going to go ahead and get the flaps. This is the flap switch, and I'm just going to go ahead and connect it to channel 6. And then we'll get landing gears, channel 5. We got ailerons on channel 1. So I'm just going to go ahead and test all my surfaces that I have on the wing before I go ahead and install it on the actual airplane. So, there's my ailerons, both of them are moving. There's the landing gear, both of them work, they come out and twist. The only thing I have left is the flaps. Both of my flap servos are moving. So I'm just going to go ahead and disconnect it now. So now that I know all my surfaces work, I'm going to go ahead and install the wing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to run all the cables through one of these holes here, because I am going to put my receiver in the cockpit, in the back of the cockpit right around here. So I'm just going to run all the cables through and then try to attach the actual wing. So let me get the cables pulled in there. Now there's many places you can mount your receiver. I mean, if you want to, you can install it here in the bottom and just run the cables from the throttle from the speed controller into here, into this area. But I'm just gonna run them through to the cockpit and then mount my wing. Now, all my cables are through that one hole that I explained to you earlier. You can see all the cables are going into the one hole. So I'm just going to push them through and then put the wing on. And all I'm doing is making sure that no cables get smashed when I put in join the wing to the fuselage. So again, I'm going to go ahead and connect my radio in here again. Drop the gear so the airplane is sitting on its gear. And then I'll start over again. Ailerons number 1. I got ailerons connected to number 1. The flaps are on 6. This is elevator. That's number 2 for me. Number 3 would be rudder. Excuse me, number 3 is throttle from the speed controller. So this is the throttle from the speed controller. That's number 3. And number 4 is rudder / steering. So I'm going to go ahead and connect all the channels back up like they need to go. Here's my rudder, that's number 4. I have landing gear. The one with no label, that was my bomb drop, that's number 7 for me. And the last one that I have to connect is the actual retracts. Now, again, everything's connected. I haven't connected any of the push rods yet, but I'm going to go ahead and turn on my radio and put the landing gear down. Again, I'm connecting directly to the power on the receiver instead of using the battery through the speed controller and everything else. So now, let me go ahead and take out the gear again. And there we go. P40 almost looking the part. I need to install the propeller and a couple of small details. Obviously, tighten up the actual the wing to the fuselage. All right, guys, get yourself a Phillips screwdriver. There are 4 mounting holes for the wing, 2 in the front, 2 in the back. So once you have it lined up, go ahead and install the screws in there. There's 2 long ones and 2 shorter ones. The 2 longer ones go in the front, and the 2 shorter ones go in the back. Now, once you just put them in there, they barely fit in there. So you have to actually make sure the wing is nice and tight in there, and then go ahead and start tightening down your screws. There's one. And you don't have to overdo it. Once you start getting snug, just leave it alone. You don't have to over tighten it. If you overdo it, you're just gonna strip the plastic in there. So once you start getting tight, hand tight, just leave it alone. Go ahead and do the ones in the front now. Then I did the ones in the back. Now, while I have it like this upside down, I'm going to show you how this plastic part goes. One of the scale details here, the cover for the wing actually goes down here, and they provide some screws for it, but anyway, this part right here basically goes in here like this. And there you see what it's supposed to look like right there. It's a 3-piece part. Basically what you're supposed to do is put these in the end right here, down here, and then put them on there. Like so. Those go in the little groove inside the airplane right here. There's a slot right there. You put them in there, in the slot in there, one on each side. This holds the little groove, and there's a groove between the wing and the fuselage joint right there. You put them in there, and then you put in your cowling or your fairing, whatever you want to call it, on top of it like that. All right. So now that we're done with that, we're gonna go ahead and assemble the propeller. You got a 2-piece spinner. Inside the hub, the spinner, you're gonna find the hardware for it. It's 3 small screws to hold the propeller blades in there, and then one main one for the actual top of the spinner to hold onto the propeller there. What you're gonna wanna do is take the nut out of your motor. There's a little washer in there too that has to come off, that goes over the propellers. Got it off. So then, just fit your back plate in there and make sure it fits all the way back. And if it does, then you're good. If not, you might require a little bit of sanding or making sure that it's you open it up enough. Get your 3 propeller blades. And what you're gonna do, each propeller blade has a slot on it, a hole in there. And basically they fit into the hub, like so. And then what you're gonna do is just put all 3 of them in there. And remember, there's 3 little screws. One goes into each propeller, and then the other one goes on top for the spinner to the back plate. It actually spinner to the There's all 3 of them. They're in there. Make sure they're all the way down. They have to be flush right here. That's when they're all the way in there. And I still need to put the screws on there, but basically, there you go. Once you put the spinner on, the big screw in there to hold the spinner will actually tighten down to the motor shaft. Before you do that, of course, you would have to put in your washer and then the spinner nut on top of it. Let me go ahead and install the 3 screws to the propellers. Get your same trusty Phillips driver. Try not to drop them like I've been doing right now. And go ahead and install one at a time in there. Now again, these don't have to be real tight. Just once you get down to when they're inside the propeller and you go snug, you don't want to overdo it, because what you're going to do is just strip the plastic or rip the plastic from the bottom. Go ahead and put on the other 2 on there. And tighten it down. Now, when I received mine, you can see the motor wires are out in the open there. Just make sure they're out of the way. They're not going to be rubbing on the back plate or the motor, since it's an outrunner. And once you're satisfied, go ahead and install the propeller. Put in your back plate and put in your nut in there. Alright, I had to run off and get some pliers, so I stopped the video there for a little bit. Once you're done, go ahead and just tighten up the spinner nut into the propeller shaft. Again, you don't want to have to overdo it. You don't want to pull the shaft out of the motor or over tighten it here. Once you get just a little bit of tightness, that's it. You don't have to overdo it. Go ahead and put your spinner on there, and then the screw that's going to go through the motor shaft, excuse me. Get it in there snug. If you think it's going to come off on you, you're paranoid or something, use a little bit of Loctite. Very little, you don't have to put too much in there. And there you go. She looks like a 40 now. Alright guys, I am going to install one control surface for you, so you can see more or less what it's like. The process for all of them is the same thing. Basically what I have is the L-wrench or Allen wrench, whatever you want to call it, that was provided with the kit. There's a backing nut. It's very small, so I'm going to use just a small hemostats to hold it. And there it is. And basically there's a bolt and little Allen head bolt. What you want to do is either through the back or the front, however you want to do it, is go ahead and put the screw and then match it up in the ball link. You might have to spin the ball link around till you see the hole properly. Like in this one, it's in the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and move it around there. So the ball link. Go ahead and push the hole through. And then what I'm going to do is just hold the nut in the back, and I'll get my L wrench and spin it in there. And if I don't drop it, once I got the screw in there, I'm going to go ahead and get the nut, put the L wrench on the bolt, and go ahead and try to spin it. It's an awkward angle here because I'm trying to film. Just go ahead and spin it in there. Once you get it started, you can just let go of the nut. Get the hemostats will hold it, and just go ahead and spin it in there. And once you got it in there, you don't have to tighten it too much. I mean, there is a ball link in there that's going to spin around, but basically what you want is just for it to actually give a little bit. There is a screw in one of the bags that connects both elevators together. There's this hole right there for like a wood screw or sheet metal screw that goes in there. But this is what one of the control surfaces is like. This is the elevator. You would do the same for the rudder and the flaps and the ailerons. Alright guys, well I have the elevator down here like that. There's 4 elevator plastic supports. You can see I already installed one of them. Basically, the bottom part of it, there's a notch in the foam. And the top part, there's a stud, if you will, that's going to go into the actual foam there. There's a plastic. This is plastic, and there's a plastic support in there. And what you're going to do is install them and then put one of the screws on there. One of the, look like sheet metal or wood screws to support it. And if this one is already installed, I would just install the screw in there for the support. And like I said, there's 4 of them. This one's already there, and the one on this side is already there. I installed this one earlier. Yeah, you can't really see it with the airplane like that, but this one's installed, and this one's installed for now.